Welcome to Infinite Heart Stories. Today we witness a profound journey from the depths of despair to the heights of wisdom. Meet Daniel, a young man of 27 years who feels the heavy weight of the world crushing his tired shoulders. Every notification on his screen is another rejection, another closed door, and another reminder that his plans are falling apart. He feels like a total failure, convinced that he lacks the talent or luck required to succeed in this life. Walking through the busy city streets, he feels invisible and disconnected, as if everyone else has figured out the secret. Memories of his failed presentations haunt his mind, replaying the moments of rejection over and over like a broken record. He looks at his own reflection in the shop window and sees only a man who has wasted his potential. Seeking shelter from the rain and his thoughts, Daniel steps into a warm coffee shop, hoping for a moment's peace. He finds a quiet corner, sits down heavily, and places the latest rejection letter on the table with a sigh. At the next table sits Robert, an older gentleman with kind eyes who notices the heavy cloud hanging over Daniel. Sensing a familiar pain, Robert decides to approach the young man, carrying his tea and a lifetime of hard wisdom. "Excuse me, son," Robert says with a gentle smile. "Do you mind if I share this table for a moment?" Daniel slides the rejection letter across the table, his eyes saying everything that his voice is too tired to speak. Robert reads the harsh words on the paper, but instead of pity, a knowing smile spreads across his weathered face. "Is it funny to you?" Daniel snaps defensively. "That letter marks my 10th failure this month. I am completely finished." "I am not laughing at you," Robert replies softly. "I am smiling because you remind me so much of my younger self. Decades ago, I stood exactly where you are now. I watched my first business crumble into dust before my eyes. I lost my home and my savings. I felt like the world had turned its back on me completely." Daniel looks at Robert's fine suit and calm demeanor, struggling to believe that this successful man was once a failure. "I did not fail just once, Daniel. I started 7 different companies, and every single one of them crashed down. 7 times I tried to build something great, and 7 times I was forced to close the doors in defeat." "Why didn't you just quit?" Daniel asks quietly. "I have only failed a few times, and I am ready to surrender." Robert takes a slow sip of his tea before answering. "Because, my friend, I discovered a truth that changed everything." He leans forward and whispers the secret. "Failure does not exist. Only data and feedback exist in this world." Imagine a scientist in a lab. When an experiment goes wrong, they do not cry. They simply record the result. Every stumble is just information. It tells you exactly what does not work, so you can find what does work. Daniel looks at his hands, starting to see his recent disasters not as personal flaws, but as valuable pieces of information. "Stop saying, 'I failed,'" Robert insists. "Start saying, 'I learned one more way that does not lead to the goal.'" This is the growth mindset. It turns every obstacle into a stepping stone and every wall into a door of opportunity. Robert pulls a silver pen from his pocket and smooths out a clean napkin on the table between them. He draws a line down the center. On the left, he writes failures. On the right, he writes lessons learned. Now, Robert commands gently, I want you to list your 3 most painful recent failures on the left side. Daniel picks up the pen. With a trembling hand, he writes down the events that have been haunting his sleep. Now comes the magic, Robert says. Next to each pain, write down one specific thing that you learned from the experience. Daniel pauses. He looks back at his memories, searching not for pain, but for the hidden wisdom buried inside. He writes his first lesson. He realizes he built a product without checking if anyone actually wanted to buy it. He moves to the second item. He recalls his arrogance during the interview and realizes he needs to listen more. The pen moves faster now. Listen more, speak less, he writes. The list of lessons is growing longer than the failures. A weight lifts off his chest. He no longer sees a list of disasters, but a manual for his future success. That is your treasure, Roberts says. People who have never failed do not possess this valuable data. You are rich. Daniel folds the napkin carefully and places it in his pocket close to his heart. He feels ready to begin again. Robert stands to leave. Turn that data into action, he advises. The world is waiting for your 8th attempt. Daniel watches his mentor walk away. Outside, the rain has stopped, and the sun is breaking through the grey clouds. Back in his room, Daniel does not wallow in pity. He cleans his desk, clearing space for a fresh start. He pins the napkin to his wall. It is no longer a reminder of pain, but a strategic map for victory. He opens his laptop and types a new project name. He feels a surge of energy that he hasn't felt in years. He works with a new intensity. Every time he faces a decision, he checks his list of lessons to avoid past mistakes. He applies his lesson on humility. He listens to his potential clients, asking questions instead of assuming he knows all the answers. Weeks later, an email arrives. It is not a rejection. It is an invitation to discuss his new proposal further. He does not celebrate wildly. He simply nods, treats the success as data, and continues to work with steady determination. Small wins begin to accumulate. A handshake here, a signed contract there. The momentum is building, slowly but surely. He returns to the coffee shop to find Robert. They shake hands, not as master and student, but as fellow travelers. I still face problems every day, Daniel admits. But I no longer fear them. I just collect the data and improve. Robert raises his cup in a toast. Welcome to the club, he says. The only club where admission is paid in failure. Daniel stands tall, looking out over the city that once intimidated him. He now sees it as a playground of possibilities. He understands now that failure is not the opposite of success. It is an essential part of the recipe for success. Every great achiever in history has walked this same path. They all collected their data, adjusted their course, and kept moving. Daniel is building his future one lesson at a time, surrounded by a team who shares his passion for growth. Do not let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. Your failures are just stepping stones waiting to be used. That simple napkin remains framed on his wall, a constant reminder that the only true failure is the failure to learn. So, what about you? What failures are you carrying right now that are actually lessons in disguise? Take a moment today, write down your struggles, look at them closely, find the gold hidden inside the dirt. Shift your mindset. Stop judging yourself for stumbling. Start applauding yourself for having the courage to walk the path. The clouds of doubt will clear when you shine the light of learning upon them. Your potential is limitless. Daniel's story is not unique. It is the story of every human being who dares to dream and dares to try. Remember the formula. Failure is data. Pain is instruction. And every setback is a setup for a greater comeback. Find a mentor or be a mentor. Share your failures as openly as your successes and watch the world change. Let go of the shame. Embrace the journey. Your story is still being written, and the best chapters are ahead. You have the power to rewrite your narrative. Turn the page today and start your own Project Phoenix. The world is full of opportunities for those who are brave enough to fail and smart enough to learn. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Take action now. Make mistakes, learn fast, and never, ever give up on yourself. As Daniel walks into his bright future, he leaves behind the old version of himself that was afraid to fall. This has been another story from the heart. We hope it has sparked a flame of hope within your soul. If this story resonated with you, please like and share it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Thank you for watching Infinite Heart Stories. Subscribe now to join our community and never miss another life-changing tale.